Is AI going to replace me as a mason? I don't think anytime soon, but it'd be ignorant to say that AI can't pull wire. It'd be like eventually. It's, just the way it learns and things like that. It's just getting smarter and smarter. It's just eventually you got to imagine someone's going to be able to implement some form of robotics and AI to do a lot of the trades.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Blue Collar Future Podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Robison, and we've got our host, Jessie, with us today for another RFI episode. Jessie, what's up?
How are you, man?
Just landscaping. Might as well be a landscaper now.
You got a lot of stuff to do out there. I mean, putting the house together.
Oh, yeah.
It's all work, right? No matter if you buy it that way or don't.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes it's like there's a benefit to building your own or buying a house that doesn't have a finished basement or doesn't have a yard. But then you got to do all the work when you're off of work to get it ready or to get it done. It's like nobody wants to do that when they get home. Doesn't matter what it is. At all.
I'd rather hire somebody, but I'd also save the money because then you just get your equity, right?
And it's funny because there's little projects I'll be excited about, and most of them don't matter at all. I mean, like the little stone backsplash I did was after we moved in, and I got excited about that. But was it necessary? Not really. Not really.
Cool.
It was cool to do. Could have used that time. I guess I can't say I spent any money because it was all leftover stuff, but could have spent that time doing something else. But whatever, dude.
It makes you happy, dude.
Yeah. Well, that's what I talk about a lot is always in the realms of like things that excite me, and that type of stuff excites me. And you have to have things that get you excited because like when you're excited about something like that and in the process of doing it, it'll give more to you than it'll take. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You'll have more energy when you're done rather than an energy sucker, we'll say. And
sure.
An example of a energy drainer, whatever you want to call it, would be scrolling on my phone, which would totally fill the time if I didn't have things to do that excite me. Would, sit there and scroll on your phone forever and all of a sudden have got no motivation, no desire to do anything. I'm super depressed because of all the garbage that's out there. It's like, and then all of a sudden you're in a very low level state of activity because of it.
Yeah. Versus like accomplishing something that makes you like get done with it. You look back and you're like stoked. Like, oh, I did this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of people nowadays don't have enough of that because like part of the things I do to, we'll say, give me energy is one of them being the podcast, because recording these and recording with guests gets me excited. And when I get done, it's like, oh man, I could go, I go work out now and I'm all pumped up. It's the same thing when you get done with a workout, like you feel better. And I find if I'm not doing stuff like this, I just end up scrolling on my phone or wasting time. And it's weird. It's a weird thing nowadays. We have so many distractions.
Yeah. I would make that joke that like people that have like maybe they like worry about everything a little too much, and like don't get me wrong, like there's things that we need to worry about, but like people that are concerned about everything, I'm like, maybe you should get a hobby. Maybe you should do something with your time, like you're saying, it's like, oh, if I'm doing this, I don't have enough time to like look at all that,
Speaking of hobbies, I want to start shooting a bow, but that's besides. I've always wanted to learn how to shoot a longbow. There's actually one for sale on KSL up in Logan I've thought about getting.
Are you going to like cosplay as an elf from Lord of the Rings? Or?
No.
Come on. We could go LARPing, dude.
Dude, I couldn't open myself up to that. There's too many people around me that would be like, yeah, let's do it. And then I'd get sucked in somehow.
Christina said the Renaissance Fair was really fun.
My wife said the same. She went down there. There's one down by us. You know what? There's some people in Logan. One of the times I was there a couple of years ago, I was at my friend's house, and across the street, there's like this little building with a gated in backyard. It didn't even look like a house. and there was two
Mhm.
people in full on knight's armor sword fighting in
Yeah.
by themselves. It was the weirdest thing. I've got a video of it somewhere. We were just
I
like,
said they
what is
do it
going
sometimes where
on?
we play the park where we play basketball. There's people that meet up and do it.
Oh my gosh. That's
I always wanna
crazy.
be like, give me one of them. Let me fight."
Yeah, yeah. Dude, go to the Renfest. They'll get you.
Mhm.
They'll get you in there.
Be fun.
Well, dude, we better get into these questions. We've got some good questions, you know?
I think, yeah, this week was productive.
Yeah. We get a lot of questions about getting young people excited into the trades or, attracting people. And one of
Mhm.
them this week was, what can the industry do better to attract younger workers to masonry? What are your thoughts on that? Because I mean, this is your field here. And I mean, I think I would bring it down to social media, and I'm sure your account has attracted at least one person, if not more, to influence them to join masonry. Yeah, what
Yeah.
do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not to my own horn, but I've had a couple people message me and be like, "Hey, I went and tried this, like you inspired me." So that's cool. That's the goal, right? Because to be honest, I think our industry or like so construction as a whole is our industry, but like maybe our niche in construction of masonry, like both could do so much better at marketing. It's just, you know, we've kind of done a shit job up to this point of marketing our industry as a viable career. Like, we grew up in a era of like so much of like, hey, go to college, get a good job. Hey, go to college, get a good job. And, construction just kind of like let that happen. I feel like we could do a lot better. And maybe that's what social media is coming to. And like, maybe it's the tool that allows us to do a better job of marketing our industry and showing off what it really is rather than showing like, well, this is going to break your back. Oh, this is going to do this. Like these people are like this sort of person. That's who construction's for. And like we can do a good job on social media of showing that, like, hey, like one, you can be successful in this. Two, this is who's really in the industry. Like, hey, you can see me, you can see Jaden, you can see the people in our crew and stuff like that. It's not just like ex-convicts and drug addicts. It's people that actually care about what we're doing, and we built some pretty cool stuff. And like it's we have a successful life, and it's you feel fulfilled because of it. But yeah, it's personally I think we can do a better job of marketing. Let's call it marketing and use social media and maybe how we're talking about it in younger people's lives. Like I think that's why I want to try to figure out how to do that blue collar career day and like actually let people get a hands-on experience with it and talk to people and like, oh, hey, like this is kind of cool. And like, maybe I do want to go do this after like I did that thing, or at least get their curiosity piqued about it rather than like, they go in the counselor's office and there's all the banners for all the colleges and stuff. And that's all they see. Like they just, if we don't show it to them, they're never going to know. And they're only going to have the idea that's given to them by other people of like what construction is. So yeah, I think it's just a marketing thing really. And then, when people do show up, we actually, give a shit about them and show them how to like learn this instead of like let the old dude gatekeep his information because he's worried about being replaced and like don't try to break them like they're some wild horse and we need to put a saddle on them.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah.
I think giving realistic expectations to them and showing them what they can achieve is probably important. And this can be done social media wise and in
Hmm.
your own company wise. So
Hmm.
when you bring new guys on, let them know that it takes time to get good at it. And if they're getting discouraged, like that's part of the process. I know a lot of people probably get discouraged around the 2 and 3 month mark because, like, especially with us, there's a pretty steep learning curve and you might feel like you aren't picking it up. And we had someone like that recently. They ended up going back to whatever they were doing before.
Hmm.
And it's just like, it's interesting. It's interesting because there are plenty of opportunities. And I think that nowadays people have such a low ability to overcome struggles, I think. And
Hmm.
that it's hard for people to see something that's physically demanding like one of these trades and want
Hmm.
to do it, especially they may have a bad experience, like with what you were saying, someone gatekeeping information and they feel like they're not picking it up and it's hard and they get tired and it's like, man, I just need to go do something else and, go to school and get educated and stuff like that, which, there's nothing wrong
Mhm.
with that. But I think if we do as good of a job as we can showing people there are opportunities for growth and then giving them realistic expectations for that growth,
Mhm.
that could be a better
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I agree because it's, you see the social media is either joining like the mark, like, or the image is either you join the trades, all it's going to do is like break down your body, or you've got the dude that's on social media that's like, yeah, dude, join the trades and you're going to make 200 grand a year. And it's like, there's a gap here that of like information that people probably need. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I've mentioned Ryan Eisenhower, the construction mentor, before on
Mhm.
here, and he's always doing a good job of showing what you can make in construction
Mhm.
and showing like the actual numbers and stuff, literally just looking up data online. I think that's something that we can show. And he actually had a post just barely what you're talking about. There's always a gap in between what people are thinking. Like people for some reason will they'll compare college degree pay like jobs and what they pay versus just people that don't have college degrees. But nobody really looks at construction in general versus college in general, and then the cost basis on achieving the same situation. So if you look at just construction versus a college degree, they're practically the same on how much money you make. And that's not even including
Mhm.
the amount of money you've got to spend on the education. People just have this idea that it's like, oh yeah, it's the saying that college degrees on average make you more money. And
Mhm.
that's also taking into account people working in gas stations, and that's taking into account people running cash registers at grocery stores and stuff, like not making any money, and nobody's making that little money in a construction job, especially after a few years. So
Mhm.
getting people a realistic expectation of what's going to happen, I think is important, and making these comparisons and then, treating it with a level of respect and dignity of being in a trade, because you are getting educated in it a certain way and
Mhm.
there's training and you're becoming skilled. You're getting skills that can't be taken away from you. So if we
Mhm.
can figure out a way to position all of this right, I think we'll attract plenty of the younger generation. And I think it has been working. It's funny that we keep getting this question in different ways, because I think it's actually turning around right now. I think we're seeing a lot of people interested right now.
Yeah. That's I did a podcast episode for the Good Contractor podcast with Company Cam. So with Luke and John. And John said, because John's like in like doing a lot of the behind the scenes stuff and like making sure all that stuff's right and whatnot. And he goes, consistently, he goes, it surprises me every time I look at like trending topics of like things that are coming up in social media that I'm trying to like, position us. He's like consistently, in the top 10, 15 or 20 things, like something is construction related, like whatever the topic is. He's like, so it just keeps creeping up and creeping up. And like, it is sort of like bubbling up, right? That like, this is becoming more and more prominent and people are more and more interested in it. And it has room to grow, but it also like it's building a good foundation. And, hopefully we do our job and ride that wave, if you will, to properly position, like you said, expectations and both the good and the bad of construction and do a good job of like, if someone's interested in it, getting them in the right spot to learn what they really need to know
Yeah.
to a sense.
Yeah. One, if we look at how it is to be a person like a younger laborer in construction, it makes sense why a lot of people might not think it's worth it, because
Hmm.
we've discussed before how the first 4 years should be considered like your training time,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And that's it can seem like a long time when you're just showing up to work day in, day out, you know, getting used to the conditions, constantly learning. Like it can be draining or tiring because you're always like you're in a constant state of trying to figure things out.
Hmm.
And I think that's part of what leads to the misconceptions about it, right? Because it just feels
Hmm.
like forever when you're a younger laborer. Like, man, I'm not making a ton of money. Like there's people over here making a ton of money that just graduated school, but you're in a different position and following a different path. So, we can all do a better job just to assist kind of the younger people to realize that they're doing well and that they will
Hmm.
continue. And if they continue, putting all their effort in and trying to learn and taking ownership of their situation and stuff, like they'll do just fine. And I think it's partially building up confidence in people and yeah, making them realize it can be a legit career choice.
Yeah. I think another good thing too, while I'm thinking about it, for getting people interested in trades like ours that are more labor oriented, I think as a business owner or maybe a leader or whatever you want to call yourself in the space, doing a better job of getting proper equipment that helps take care of people, So it's like we're not trying to lay 12-inch block off a conventional scaffold. We have the hydraulic scaffold from Fracco, or we have the crank up, or like with the crank up, you have the tools that go with it, or like, maybe doing our part as the person who facilitates that sort of thing is like getting the right tools in front of these people or the right things. Cause it's like, you don't need to do it the old school way anymore. You don't, and like, as a business owner, you should know that because the more like the easier stuff is, the more profit you can make. Right. But it's also like, we should do our part to like invest in things that make our trades a little bit more appealing and easier and more efficient on our guys that are out in the field. So it's like, if those things exist, like, and you should probably look into like investing in them. Like, I know that I get sent videos of like that dude laying on the wall like this and like using the mule to lay that 12-inch block. And like, so he does a terrible job of like, oh, look at this dude. But it's like, some like companies have invested in the mule and stuff, and so they're able to lay a 32-inch long block instead of a 16-inch block, and it's a big like, even just those grade 12s that like that dude is laying weigh 40 some pounds, so like laying them up here at your shoulders is, it's silly. But if you have the opportunity to use that equipment, like it saves your guys' bodies every time, because it's like it looks silly because like that dude looks like he's being lazy because he's like, okay, cool, and like does this thing. But then you watch a video of someone that's like actively using it in a job site and like doing the thing and like shows off maybe the 32-inch block instead of the 16, or like maybe we educate people on what those things actually weigh and things like that.
Mhm.
I think those things as we go forward are better to like kind of get away from the like, well, this is how I did it when I was young. I'm like, cool, dude. Well, you don't have to, like there's technology if, and I get it. A lot of that stuff's expensive too. So like, I'm not going to say like, hey, you got to go put yourself $500,000 in debt to have one of these machines. But if you want to grow and help grow the industry and do that stuff, like I think as the opportunities present themselves, you should be interested in getting into more of the cutting edge stuff,
Mhm.
like just little things like that, because that means a lot to a lot of people. Like, if you're going to make your guys' life easier to produce the results that you want produced as a leader,
Mhm.
you should be looking into how to make that easier for your guys.
Yeah. Well, I can attest you guys are revolutionizing your job. I was over in on your scaffold on your crank up stuff, and all of a sudden you got one of your guys running around with a freaking impact driver and
Yeah, the whole hog.
cranking up the scaffolding. I was like, whoa, what the crap?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, instead of sitting there having to hand crank it, you guys had a little yeah, impact driver was cranking it out. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. We learned that you can take a Milwaukee whole hog that like someone's probably cutting holes with, but you can retrofit it with the right socket and it fits right on your crank up. So like when I was a kid, yeah, I had to crank it all by hand with all like,
Yeah.
you've got 25 to 30 block plus the mason on one thing. You make that easier for them. And then, we took it a step further and we have that hydraulic scaffold, which is you can move 150 feet of scaffold up with like a lever, right? With two guys running levers, and you know, it's nothing on their body to get all that material and men moved up, which it's
Yeah.
pretty wild. But
Which
yeah,
is
trying
crazy.
to do our part.
Yeah. That is pretty crazy too. Well, I think that one, we got that one pretty good. We get questions like that quite a bit, so we'll probably revisit it at some point because we were talking beforehand. It's like there's always new insights that we can discuss.
Mhm.
I always have new ideas and new thoughts about these things. Revisiting them is just fine. Our next question is positive and negative ways AI will affect the trades. It's interesting because if you think about what AI has been doing right now, it's not even really, I'm not even sure I'd say it's directly affecting trades yet because
Mhm.
like is definitely affecting business activity and like the business side of all of the trades because a lot of people are using things like ChatGPT to help run their businesses and
Mhm.
little softwares and stuff to help streamline their processes. But I don't think I can say that AI has actually affected the trade itself. I mean, have you seen anything you can see?
So as far as like a is AI gonna replace me as a mason? I don't think anytime soon, but and then, like, I don't think it's gonna set concrete by itself or,
Mm,
pull wire or whatnot soon, but, like, it would be ignorant to say that AI can't do our trade, right? It'd be ignorant to say that AI can't pull wire. It'd be, like, eventually. It's, just the way it learns and things like that, it's just getting smarter and smarter. It's just eventually you got to imagine someone's going to be able to implement some form of robotics and AI to do a lot of the trades. So you have the con of like possibly it has job displacement or things like that it would create down the road. But as of right now, like it's just being used. I would say it's more of a positive because it's AI can be used in the sense of like helping efficiencies or like, planning things out or like those sort of things that it's really good at. It's a tool at this point, and it's a tool rather than like a crutch, if you will. So like this, like the little bit of AI that we use, it's like you can do built-in place models. You can do things like company cam where like I can do all my walkthroughs, I can do all my checklists, I can do all that stuff. I give it a little bit of information and it does it and I correct it. Or like you said, chat GPT can be used to answer like questions or like, things like that. And that's like a very rudimentary AI as far as that goes. Or like, they fly the drone around and the drone's running on AI, like, right? It does its path, it shows progress every day. That thing can write its own safety report because it can be like, oh, I noticed that like the concrete guy didn't put his rebar caps on and there's someone 30 feet above him. And it'll alert you on that. But like that's something also a human can do or stuff like that. Or, just the little things and like it can start to notice like progress and whatnot. So, I think it can be used as a positive tool to, help people in those situations or like maybe increase efficiencies and whatnot. Cause like I imagine like in your trade, you have concrete, right? So it's, or like the groundwork guys are using the GPS and things like that. So like I imagine AI probably has a role there somewhere, right?
hmm
Of like,
Yeah.
we need to get to this. So like it can just do that by itself and like kind of like make that a little more efficient or little things like that.
hmm
But I don't see it displacing a lot of blue collar people at the moment.
hmm
I know there's maybe it's Norway that they're doing low income housing because there's a shortage on skilled labor, right? Of masons and stuff. So they have a thing that'll it's like the little robot brings in the bricks on a cart and then the little robot brings them up to the scaffold and then the bricklaying robot does its thing and whatever. But it's like one case of it and it's doing pretty simple stuff. So like it's not like over in Norway they're using this thing to eliminate masons from doing their job.
hmm
It's just filling a gap that they need because they need those buildings made and they don't have the labor to do so. But like I do think there's always going to need to be someone on site that knows some form of masonry, even if the robot's there to like, say Elon has his perfect world and there's a humanoid robot that can do it. Like it probably there's always going to be someone there to like make sure it works, make sure it runs, does all like
yeah.
has the skill set to do that sort of stuff. And then like it can't always do like of course it can do straight walls and whatnot, but like then you bring in like the craftsmanship and things like that. So it's like I don't know. Like there are pros and cons to it, but at the moment I think it's just a tool to use
Yeah.
and like make things a little better.
Yeah. I mean, I still think at this point, I don't believe too strongly that it will come into the trade itself, except for rudimentary tasks, because there's always going to be an
Mhm.
element of construction sites that's too dynamic. Like I keep
Mhm.
saying we would have to completely change the way we build things. Like you're even
Mhm.
seeing on the, the Norway project, like it has to be
Mhm.
controlled situations and realistically has to be much more planned and organized, I think. Because I
Yeah.
there's too many job sites that are just wouldn't work. And there's too many projects that are too have too many variables going on where you need the time and experience to make a decision that might not even be like something that you could get from an AI. Right now, a lot of them are still just compiling information. I would almost call an AI like a thought compiler more than like an actual thought generator, because what they do is they'll look at all of the information and then they'll make a statement based on information that they have. So new thought and new, I will say, on the fly thinking type stuff, I still is a ways away. And then to
Yeah.
integrate that into something that can actually do a trade and do it right is a ways away. So I think,
Yeah.
like, as far as positive and negative ways it'll affect the trades, I think in like right now we're seeing softwares coming out that are going to cut down on in-person interactions. And like I just barely started using Live Switch, which is like a video call software basically that you can meet with potential clients, and let's like you can walk them through what they want and it will record online. So like it'll send them a text message, they click a link, it'll take you to a thing where you can talk to them and it will record it, and then it will summarize that information, and you can even have it like make a bid and stuff for them.
Mhm.
And this is to like cut down on in-person meetings with potential clients because a lot of people are tire kickers, right? So
Yeah.
we're having these things to make our lives easier and more efficient, but this is also cutting down on in-person interactions, which is already happening. Like you can see technology's already been doing that with the phone and social media and stuff, but it's just going to keep getting worse, I think, and people are going to keep craving for more in-person interactions
Mhm.
in business. So I think there's, if you start looking at it from that direction, there's pros and cons both ways. Like pros, efficiency; cons, we're not going
Mhm.
to have as much in-person stuff. And how often are you going to be calling into a business and they're going to have an AI thing answering the phone and taking your questions, because that's already feasible as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens already, and we all know how miserable that is,
Yeah.
especially, like, if you've done anything with, like, Meta or TikTok and, like, I'm trying to get a question answered, and it's like, "Well, I only have this many prompt." So, like, it's like, "Could I just talk to a human and be like, 'Hey, this is what I got going on?'" And you have that with business too, like, so I think too, like, if you're one of those people that's concerned about, like, could this replace me? Just remember what Jaden said is people still are gonna crave human contact. So it's like, if you like, that's the cool thing about construction is it's done by hand. So, like,
Mhm.
it's not always perfect, it's not always this, but there's a human element to it. And that's what's cool. Like in our trade, like bricks not perfect, masons aren't perfect, things aren't perfect, but it's done by hand. And like there's
Mhm.
a cool aspect to that. So like market that like, hey, I this is done by hand. Like this is a real human interaction. This is a real human process. And
Mhm.
I think people are still gonna crave that regardless. It's like we see the same thing kind of like, let's call ourselves content creators, in a sense of like, you look at it like people are, there's a lot of AI slop on social media, but it's if
Mhm.
you still make human content and stuff like that, people are probably going to start to gravitate toward it of like, okay, I know that that's really made by a human. And I think that is going to echo into everything, like from things that you create with your hands to construction to all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we keep seeing it more and more right now, where AI generated videos are getting millions and millions of views because they're so ridiculous. People are already getting sick of it. They're
Hmm.
already being like, this is dumb. Like, this isn't even real. And
Hmm.
so the more people are sharing real things and real information and real videos, there's going to always be a place for that. And I think what you said too about, like, you're mentioning masonry isn't perfect, masons aren't, but especially like bricks aren't perfect. and the
Huh?
materials you're working with aren't perfect. That's another part that like an AI would have a hard time dealing with because it's very much imperfect materials that we're dealing with to try to put together.
Hmm.
It's not just like a building block piece that you can just slap together.
Yeah.
And just the fact that you're using mortar, slapping it onto the brick and laying it there, I don't really see how AI can just do that and do it right the way we do it right
Hmm.
now. So that's why I keep emphasizing that. It's like that's why people are seeing these 3D printed houses and they're seeing prefabbed homes and stuff like built in a controlled environment with controlled materials. Because if you look at like a framer, the lumber that we have nowadays is absolute trash. Like you got to look down and crown all of the boards to see if they're, to see if they're good or not. And you end up
Hmm.
tossing like 10% or more of your materials because they're just absolute
Hmm.
trash. Just dealing with imperfect products, and it's hard for a computer software realistically to just deal with that. I think to have like you mentioned, I've only got so many prompts. Like you've got to, for now it operates off a set prompt or set information that it can find to operate within these circumstances. So you start throwing in other variables and it's kind of hard to imagine it'll be able to handle it. However, I'm sure they're getting to a point where they're generating new models that are like thinking for themselves, I guess. But that's I don't feel like that's something we want either. So I don't know. It's like, how much do we want to jump into this iRobot future? Just saying.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like, I'm not ignorant enough to believe that like it couldn't happen, but I don't see it being
Yeah.
anything more than a tool right now.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's like cons, which there's all tech's already been a con in this same way. A con would be cutting down in-person interactions. Pros are
Hmm.
just efficiency. I mean, everything's becoming more efficient. Like I don't know if Company Cam does like what AI stuff it has, but all of these softwares that you use nowadays have an like AI bot or something that you can
Hmm.
either ask questions to or get help with, like compiling information in your stuff.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of ways to cut down on time and be more efficient with it.
Hmm.
So it can be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I could see a spot for it. Maybe like say an estimating. Like if you're like, cool, here's all my inputs. Here's the thing that you need to look at. Do that rather than spending 4 hours trying to go through the blueprints and like all this sort of stuff. Like I could see like that, sort of thing. But
Yeah, cool. Think we got that one. Let's move on to this next one. What is your next goal and milestone at your job that you have?
next goal and milestone at job. So I think it's relatively common knowledge that I work with my father, right? Like, this is a family business. Fourth generation Mason, second generation commercial. So my next goals is like, we've already had my dad off the tools for more than a decade and he's in the office. He's really good at that sort of stuff. He's really good at keeping work ahead of us and doing those sort of things. And I'm running the field and whatnot. So really my next goals and milestone are to grow the men underneath me in a sense of like I want to make myself a little more irrelevant, which probably sounds weird to say, but like I want to empower them to have the authority to take care of things on their own, and help like give them a space that they can create something within our company that also fulfills them. So like I want someone to be able to take my job. I want someone to be able to run work, or become, a foreman or a lead or those sort of things. Get to the point where these young guys that are trusting me, to give them the opportunity to create something for themselves, not just for us. Right. So it's like, I don't want you to, like, I want to be able to create an environment where, like, you're not just an employee, you're bought in and, like, you get the reward from that, sort of stuff. So like as far as like milestones and goals, like my next milestone's probably to get someone that can like to build someone up to be able to fill my shoes so that I can, fill up more dads.
Hmm.
And then get to that point of like where I can be more so on the business than in the business. Those are my next kind of goals. Not to say like I don't want to be out in the field anymore, because I do. I like it. I like being out there and then being with the boys and doing stuff with them and building stuff with my hands and whatnot. Um, Eventually, I want to be able to like work with my dad and learn more so the stuff that goes on, maybe quote unquote behind the scenes, if you will, and take care of that stuff. And then on the other side of things, you have like my social media at this point is a business. So goals and milestones, like I want to do that blue collar career day. I want to impact my local community a little bit more. And so to be able to use my time to both empower the people that work for us and are on site, as well as take that my reach and impact on the community around me and use maybe our equipment and our trade and our people to give people that hands-on experience I talked about earlier. And then maybe create something that is actually teaching people how to do our trade and things like that. Whether it's the blue collar career day, or maybe I can get to the point where like on Fridays I can go teach at Bridgerland and like show people like how masonry works. I think it'd be really cool to like eventually have like either my garage space or a warehouse space or something to uh do like training, whether it's in person or on video, and do my part to further our trade rather than just complain about that no one wants to learn or teach, right? So like first is like the guys out in the field, but then like once I can get to that point, I want to like start to like really push that out and like try to like be a force that brings people into our trade and keeps it from maybe dissipating
Yeah.
as like people think it is.
Hmm. Well, I think that's, I mean, a quote comes to mind as you were talking from, I think it's a quote, or maybe I might be butchering it and it might not even be from him, but it's probably is from John Maxwell, that leaders create other leaders. And I know I've heard him talk about that before. And, he's real big in the leadership space. And um, if you're wanting to be a leader, you need to be teaching the people under you to like, you need to replace yourself, right? And that
Hmm.
actually needs to be something that everybody in every position is doing. You can't, if you start out as a laborer, you can't move on to the next position until you help to train the person that's going to replace you and do what you're going to do.
Hmm.
So that's a natural progression for everybody. Everybody that
Hmm.
wants to move up needs to train their replacement, essentially. And obviously,
Hmm.
like in a lot of companies, there's specific training programs, and you have people that, like, I'm sure you have a lot of hands in teaching everybody on the job how to do things and stuff. But in general, you want to train your replacement. And I think that is a very natural thing for humans to do, but it's also something that people don't want to do because, like you said, making yourself obsolete's hard,
Hmm.
or it's weird to say. And it's hard for a lot of people to make themselves, to just replace themselves, because it's like, then what do I do? But that's what opens you up to be able to to learn and grow and do more if you have people that can do what you were doing before. And you can't do everything. And I think people have this idea that they can and should. And this is where all of the gatekeeping and all of that stuff comes into play, because people don't want to do this.
Hmm.
I would add to that that I'm kind of in a similar position, I think. Uh, A goal and milestone, honestly, for me would be to get my dad out of the field, but also he already has been in and out for a long time. Like, he's, this time of year we're busy, so we have all hands on deck a lot, but he already doesn't really stick around all the time. So I think for me
Hmm.
it would just be getting everybody to a place where we really just don't need him to be there, like, ever. And
Yeah.
I think he's still going to show up because of who he is and he likes to be around, but he's
Yeah.
got all of the other business stuff to attend to. Like, he keeps telling everybody he's never going to retire. And I think that's probably a good thing. You see a lot of
Yeah.
people that retire and they go downhill and like die, like, not even to
Yeah.
make light of it. They quit doing stuff and all of a sudden they're just done. So anyways, though, I think my goal would be to help people underneath me move up and be able to take on more responsibility so that I can actually move into a position to take more responsibility as well. And
Hmm.
it's just a constant, I think that's a constant goal and progression that should be for everybody in any position is to help the company and help people beneath you so that you can move up as well.
Yeah.
So that
And
that
that's,
was
I
actually
don't
I had
know if,
that written
go
down.
ahead.
Oh,
I was going to say, I don't
go
know
ahead.
if we talked about it before, but maybe it's the scarcity and abundance mindset. But like, I spent the whole of my career trying to be the best at whatever I was doing. And now the position I'm in, I'm to the point of like, I want him to be better than me. Right.
Mhm.
So it's like, I'd spent of like, oh no, I want to be better than everybody else on site. And now I'm like, well, I don't want to be the best mason on the wall anymore. I don't want to be the best at this. I want that. I want to enable and teach the guy below me to be the best. And I'm like, I want him to be able to create this for himself and things like that. Like, I want to, maybe the sense of like a rising tide raises all the ships, if that's an easier way to put it. But like, it's funny because like,
Mhm.
it's like you said, people operate in such a heavy scarcity mindset of like, if I train him to replace me, what do I do? It's like, well, there's plenty of stuff to do, right? Like, you just got to, the idea is to be able to like, if I get him to replace me, then I can work toward, the next step. But if you're not actively working on yourself or like what you could do next, then of course, like it's probably terrifying to be like, well, if I make him the best mason, then like, what do I do? Well, you should be focused on like becoming the best of the next thing or like stepping into your next role.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly along the lines of what I was saying as well. I mean, it's that should be everybody's goal that wants to move up because like we've mentioned before that there are people on the job that don't care. Like they'll just kind of be happy with where they're at and then that's fine.
Mhm.
But like as far as my position goes, I would like to keep learning and growing and helping the guys beneath me to be able to phase me out. Because at the moment I'm at, I am very much tied to being there. And I wouldn't really expect any different, but like I am kind of one of the only ones that knows how to do a few of the things and the only one that really knows how to do everything. So it's hard because I can't just if something happens, it's hard for me to be gone. It's almost easier for like a laborer to be like, oh man, I got to go. I've got an emergency. For me, it's I can, but I feel bad because I'm like, oh man, these guys are kind of relying on me a little bit, and I need to be there to help the project go smoothly. And it's there's some things
Mhm.
where I can feel the the need of me to be there.
Mhm.
So I've always tried to make sure that the guys can that I can teach everybody how to do the things that I'm doing. And
Yeah.
whether or not people are picking up on it or want to is one thing. But if you're constantly in that position of trying to teach the guys below you how to do things that you do,
Mhm.
that's how you look. That's how you move up and grow in a company. So I mean, that's honestly would be a good piece of advice for someone who's um, trying to move up,
Mhm.
because both of us are kind of in a similar position of wanting to make sure that you're training the guys below you.
Mhm.
And it's literally top to bottom. Everybody should be trying to do that. Um, as a first year laborer, maybe is about the only time you shouldn't be because
Yeah.
you're just figuring things out. But like you get to a year and it's like, okay, well now you're probably hiring somebody else or you need to start trying to move up. So you need to start trying to take responsibilities and let the people around you teach you. Maybe even you have to kind of push your hand a little bit to be like, hey, I need to jump in here and learn this because I'd like to move up, and that will incentivize your leaders to help you because like we've said, there's a lot of it's a lot of times it's hard for people to move up in certain companies.
Mhm.
The more willing you are to participate in this experience here, the better. We've
Yeah.
had guys that just don't even try to learn something new. Like they don't even try to, oh, how do you do that? Can I try? And like just little things like that, even little, yeah, even
Yeah.
little gestures like that. We've had a
Yeah.
lot of guys
And
that just don't
that's,
even care.
yeah.
So
I mean, and there's always going to be that regardless of the job of like you can't force someone to like step into a role, they're gonna wanna do it. Or like maybe
Hmm.
some people are just like, no, I like where I'm at. Like that's where I want to be. I don't want more responsibility. So you can't
Yeah.
like force that on somebody. But like if you're trying to get ahead, then yeah, like you obviously need to get like for me, it was when I was a labor one to become a mason, it was like if I can get so far enough ahead that no one has to ask me for anything, maybe I can get like 5 minutes on the wall. But then it's like, okay, if I want to spend more time on the wall, I need to teach the guy that's under me like the next labor up to like replace me. And like you said, because it's you can't like that gap needs to be filled by something. So you need to like if you want to move ahead, you obviously need to be a leader in your position and teach the next person up to be as good or better than you.
Yeah, there's something to be said about someone that is like making themselves available to learn. Like you said, you had to get so far enough ahead so you had a few minutes to be able to do that. Imagine how many
Hmm.
people are on the job and they're in the labor position and they're just keeping up. They're not really trying
Hmm.
to excel or whatever, and they're not putting in the extra work to be able to just get a few minutes on the wall. So the opportunities that they have to learn how to be on the wall and how to lay the block are very much reduced because they've got their responsibilities they have to do. And then
Hmm.
some of these people, not all of them, some of them will go and complain about how they're not moving up as quick, but sometimes it comes down to some personal like goals and striving to do the best you can so that you actually can, and making yourself available to, because it's not always
Hmm.
perfect and you can't always just expect to be taught things. um
Hmm.
because I think people have an easier time teaching if the people they're teaching actually want to learn and are making themselves available to learn. So instead of just
Hmm.
showing up and working, it's like, you're actively trying to learn everything that you can while you're there. So, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean,
interesting thoughts.
it's like the saying of like luck is just when opportunity meets preparedness, right? So like if the opportunity like you're gonna miss the opportunity if you're not prepared. So if you're not like if you're just doing the bare minimum to keep up and the opportunity presents itself, you're not prepared. But if you're
Hmm.
ahead and like the opportunity presents itself and you're prepared, then you can hop in, right? Because you're
Hmm.
prepared for that opportunity, and then you got lucky enough to get up there and learn something.
Yeah, I mean, timing is luck too. That's literally one of the chapters in a book I was reading the other day, because sometimes your luck is just being prepared in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
the perfect storm of things just to catapult you, I guess, ahead. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That was good. That was a good one. Well, guys, this was a good one, and I think we had one more bonus one, but we'll kind of bank them. If you guys have more questions, we're always accepting questions. Jesse put some sticker on his story. You can join our channel and drop them, comment on a post, but put it somewhere where we're asking for them, because if you're just commenting on a random post, then it's kind of hard to keep track of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you have like a topic you want us to discuss, DM me or Jesse. And,
And check out the Blue Collar
Jesse, you got
Futures actual profile
yeah,
on Instagram.
yeah,
That makes it
exactly.
easy.
Yep, yep. That's where everything is at. Got anything else to add to that?
No, yeah, I'd say yeah, if you're got a question or a topic you want, like make sure to reach out. Jaden runs the Blue Collar Future page on Instagram. He's got a little channel that he does updates in. So get yourself in there. Otherwise, yeah, I'll put it on my story, the little question prompt. But yeah, if our little request for insight today helped you with anything, please share it. Get it to where maybe someone else that needs that information can also hear it. And we appreciate you guys for doing so.
Yep. Appreciate everybody tuning in, and thanks, Jesse. And
Yeah,
until
thanks,
next
bye.
time, we'll see you guys later. Dude, I literally